All right, we're going to start off with the blind tasting 5769. I have not looked at the back of the card, so I don't know what Angel's Kept tastings are. But I went through my normal homebrew process, and I'm just going to take a little time with the coffee and see what I taste. When I was brewing it, I automatically noticed this amazing bloom that came off the coffee, and even though I was out of town when the cupping flight came in, and these were roasted on August 9th, and it's already August 20th. 11 days after their roast date, this is still some super fresh coffee because it was giving off this really delightful foamy bloom as I was doing my pour over. So we're first going to kind of take a little sniff. I'm getting something that's a little bit kind of acidic, but maybe because it's like super early in the morning and I'm kind of still waking up, I'm not really getting much else besides that yet. And there is like a little tiny bit of oily sheen on top of the coffee from the coffee oils being released. So let's do a little tasting, a little cupping, informal. Mmm. All right, so that first acidity that I smelled has really come in strong here, meaning that there's a lot of kind of tartness in the beginning, which sometimes people discuss as a kind of brightness. For me, it's tasting a little bit more chocolatey towards the middle, and it does have quite a bit of aftertaste. I mean, it's still, the length of it is still going strong even now. I would say in the opening, I'm getting something maybe kind of almost like kind of lemongrassy. I'm getting this like acidity that's very forward that is maybe mildly citrusy, but also kind of a little bit herby. And then once I swallow and then I breathe out through my nose, which is a great tip that Angel's Cup gave me on a coffee tour one time, that I'm really getting a lot more of the sort of base notes, a lot more of the kind of chocolate. Yeah, this is an excellent coffee. I mean, it has a lot of different layers going on. I'm really enjoying it in a lot of different areas. It doesn't just have like kind of one note and then done. And I would say that it has, like I said before, kind of acidity, but it's not unpleasant. It's not kind of biting. So let's take a look at what Angel's Cup said. All right. This is an Ethiopian coffee, which is a little bit surprising to me, and that I usually associate those a little bit more with something even more acidic than this. And it is Yirgacheffe. It's from the Wote Conga region, which I don't know anything about. It's washed, and they give you the elevation, which I never know what to do with that. The roaster is Mad Priest Coffee, who I haven't heard of before, which is super exciting. And their main flavor notes are bergamot, apricot, and creme brulee. The apricot I'm definitely getting. I don't know where the bergamot is. Maybe it's that kind of lemon grassiness I was talking about, that kind of herbiness. And then they're also getting some sweetness towards the end, but it reminds them more of like caramelized cream, like creme brulee, or and then they say something that reminds me of chessman cookies. So some sort of like kind of gingery or like vanilla cookie treat, which is actually, I think, pretty common for people with coffee. And that once they taste something that's kind of a little bit like the smell of cookies or vanilla, which is apparently a very memorable scent experience for us. A lot of us have a strong association with vanilla and cookie baking smell. Um, so they're calling that creme brulee, which I guess would be a more heightened, fancy way of discussing that smell. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a balance of that sweetness along with the acidity in this coffee. It's a great cup. Um, yeah, enjoy. All right, it's day 2 with the Angels Cup cupping flight, and today I'm going to be taking a look at 5770, which had a wonderful, wonderful bloom on it when I was doing the pour over, and it smells really great. It's my first thing that I have smelled this morning since I woke up, and it smells terrific. It has a kind of toasted sort of smell to it that I'm really into. So we're going to taste this baby and see what we think. Whoa. All right, this is very different from the coffee that I had yesterday. I would say it has a sort of um, pucker to it. I'm really feeling it like in the middle to the back of my tongue. That's it's kind of still sort of now it's kind of turning into like a kind of roasty, nutty quality, but there's definitely a pretty early forward taste of a kind of puckeringness, but I wouldn't say that it's like it doesn't remind me of any particular kind of fruits per se. Yeah, I would say that it's more, for me, it's more of a kind of roasted nut quality is the main thing I'm getting with some like kind of a sharper acidity in the beginning, but it's not reminding me of any particular fruit. All right, let's see what they say on the back of the tasting card. All right, so again, this is another Mad Priest coffee, a roaster I hadn't heard of before, but was yesterday's roaster as well. It's Burundi Moringa in origin. It's washed. And okay, all right, they're discussing how this has a kind of yellow raisin, dried cherry, and malted barley. So I wonder if that kind of like almost nuttiness, smokiness that I'm getting is the kind of like toasted grain that they're getting. And the raisin cherry. Let me think about that for a second. I don't know. I'm definitely getting something kind of a little bit acidic in the beginning of this coffee, but it's hard for me to pin it down to a certain fruit. Maybe that's why they're both going with like dried fruits here, in that it's kind of muted, um, or like sort of more. You know how like dried fruits can be like a little bit kind of uh, muted or less kind of less kind of like thirst quenching and more kind of like a sort of dull note tasting. So the other thing they're saying about this is that it is bright and flavorful, and that they stand out. They include the raisins and the I may have to get my glasses on for this. Ah, that's better. That they're also getting some tropical fruit notes, but they also are having a hard time putting their finger on them. But they're lurking in there somewhere, and the malted barley quality that they're picking up, it looks like, from the tannins towards the end. So I kind of found myself sort of agreeing with them a little bit, which is kind of surprising to me. And that sometimes I feel like what I'm tasting is totally different from theirs. But the really great thing beyond the tasting notes and everything is that this is the same roaster, clearly different origin, both African coffees. But this one for me, I would say, is like so different from yesterday's, which is one of the things I really love about the Cupping Flight, is that this one really was kind of hard to pin down and was a completely different sensory experience from yesterday's. All right, I'll check back in with tomorrow's coffee. Hey, good morning, and welcome to your third coffee in the Angel's Cup Flight. This one is numbered 5777, so it already behooves or foretells, I should say, a great coffee. It smelled really wonderful when I was just brewing it this morning, and I'm going to take a little smell. Again, I wonder if like my whole smeller is off first thing in the morning. I'm doing each of these cups like before I've done anything else. All I did was wake up and do my pour over, and here I am. So, I don't know. It smells like coffee. So, let's see how it tastes. Whoa. So, I would say that this particular flight has been really well sequenced in that the flavors are getting more and more sharp as we go throughout the flight. I remember the first coffee I didn't really feel was very acidic. In fact, I was really surprised at how balanced it was, especially considering it ended up being an Ethiopian, which is known for some acidity. And then yesterday's had almost a kind of tannin quality that you might get from like a big, bold red wine. And this one also has a lot of punch to it. One more. I don't know. I would say that I'm getting almost a kind of jam quality, like a grape jelly or something quality, like early on, and then I would say somewhere towards the middle, it's moving into something that does taste a little bit roastier, but not, I wouldn't say, go as far as say like caramely and anything. Like, I would say this is quite not a very sweet coffee, in the middle to the finish here. So anyway, let's see what the Angel's Cup people like to say here. All right, so this is from Espresso Republic. So this is the second roaster we tried for this week. It's from Peru. Never would have been able to guess that. It's from the region called Cajamarca, Valle de Chingama. And it's been washed. They tell us the elevation. I never understand. So their major dominant flavor notes are cherry and apple Jolly Rancher. So maybe that's that kind of jammy, fruit jammy quality I was getting. But again, I feel like it falls out quickly and the sweetness isn't there as much anymore, and it turns something a little heavier. But let's see what they say. It says it's bright and balanced, strong sweetness, nice flavor. The roaster notes say candy apple, and they agree. They say that's spot on. It has a cherry or apple Jolly Rancher flavor mixing together, and a floral fingerprint. Some brown sugar. Wow. So I'm not getting quite the amount of sweetness that they're getting, like after the initial flavor of it. But maybe this middle note that I'm getting is what they're calling a floral note towards the middle. But that's, for me, that's really dominating after the initial like punch. Anyway, regardless, it's so wonderful that I get to try so many different stuff all in 1 week. I hope you're enjoying it out there, and we'll see you for our fourth and final coffee here very soon. Welcome to your final day of the cupping flight for the week. A little sad, but they're coming to the end, but I know that I had this great coffee waiting for me. So I just got this off the pour over, and I'm going to take a little smell. I'm definitely getting something right away that is a little bit fruity in some way, but as I've sort of discussed this week, maybe it's because it's early in the morning, first thing. I don't have much of sensitivity and smell yet, but let's give it a taste. This feels a lot nuttier and kind of herbier than the previous coffees we've had this week, which had a lot more of a kind of fruit component. Even though I smell the kind of fruit early on, I'm not getting that now in the taste. Yeah, I'm sort of, I feel like I'm kind of tasting something that sort of is reminiscent of the smell of like walking in the woods or something when like after it's first rained. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a kind of strong middle note of a kind of herb of some kind. It sort of reminds me a little bit of a tea in that way, but like a stronger tea, not like a delicate tea. Interesting. I really enjoy it. I think possibly one of the things that happens when you taste a lot of coffee is that the reason why I'm enjoying it is because it's like a little different than what I've had prior. Like it's a lot of coffees will have a strong kind of berry note or a strong fruit note or acidity very early in the coffee, but this is a little different, and I'm really enjoying the diversity of it. So I didn't say before, this is where I need the glasses, 5778 that we're tasting now. And we're now going back to Espresso Republic. I feel like this is kind of common in the cupping flight in that once they find a pretty good roaster, they find a couple of really great roasts from that roaster, and then they ship two of them, so you get kind of two different roasters, two different roasts from each roaster during the week. So this is what they say. They say they're getting a kind of butter cookie. Oh wait, first of all they say that it's Peruvian from a place called Cajamarca Chorinos, and that it's washed. All the coffees this week have been washed in their processing, and that their dominant notes are butter cookie, yoo-hoo, and wheat thin. And they say that it's the first sip is shockingly bright, but then the flavor transforms to a mix of butter cookie, wheat thin, and yoo-hoo. I think I'm getting more of the kind of wheat thin, the kind of grainy, like toasted grainy quality when they are, and that it's so different from the last coffee that we had from them, which I completely agree. That there's some sort of interesting commonality between coffees from Peru and Ecuador that this can help you recognize. I don't know. But I definitely feel that kind of toasted graininess in this cup, which, like I said before, is a little bit unusual for me, and so I'm liking it for that reason. All right, so that concludes our cupping flight for the week. You can do it a variety of different ways. Some people do them all at once. I do them like one at a day, and I just consider it bringing a lot of variety into my week of coffee, and I see that a cupping flight can really teach me to slow down and think about different flavors, which I really appreciate. Thanks for joining me on the flight this week, and hopefully I'll see you on one very soon. Thanks.